Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you are having or have had a great day. And we are going to go ahead and get started with tonight's class. I am recording this because there will be a few that will not be able to make it, but they'll be able to refer to this a little later on. Tonight's class is very it's going to be very short but informative. What I want to do is be able to provide you with a little glimpse of how we're going to end this semester. We only have a couple more weeks left, and so I'm just going to give you an overview of what to expect. We have actually three assignments that I'm asking you to complete before the end of the semester. So I'm going to talk through those this afternoon and then open it up for any questions. And then we will dismiss. If you will, go ahead and put your name in the chat so I can have it for attendance purposes. And while you all are doing that, I am going to get ready for our PowerPoint tonight. So I believe this is actually the first class of this semester where we will not talk about EdTPA. So I hope that brings you a little joy. But I know everyone is waiting on their scores, which should be back within the next couple of weeks. As soon as you get those, please let me know. We normally don't get informed of those until all of them have been returned. But as they come in, as they trickle in, please just let me know how things went. I do anticipate a great um, response. So as those come in, please share. Okay, so I'm just getting our PowerPoint together. Before I get started, does anybody have any questions? Anything you want to share? Anything that has happened that is good?
We got 17 more days, y'all.
17 more. I was wondering if somebody was going to say that 17 more days. And hopefully they go by quickly. And we can look forward to graduation.
I do have a question for my other class for my classmates. Has TCAP started for y'all yet, or is it starting soon for y'all?
Ours starts next week, and so literally all of my lesson plans that I turn into my supervisor just say TCAP review, TCAP review, TCAP review.
That's what should be happening around now. Very few lessons now are going to have new content. Most of them are going to be either review or you should be assisting your mentor teacher in proctoring or monitoring students. So I anticipate those type of lesson plans coming in as well. Okay. Let me just get to the chat. Okay, make sure again you have put your name in the chat, and then we are going to get started. I think almost everyone in here knows, but okay, this is Emma. I think almost everyone in here knows, but I was hired for the 25-26 school year at Atoka Elementary last Wednesday. Congratulations, Emma. Thank you, Taryn. Good. Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. And if anyone else is interviewing, has been hired, please let us know. Remember, especially for my candidates, I have received an inbox full of recommendations that I need to send in or have sent in. So please just keep those coming. If you need a recommendation and you need me to do so, just give me a heads up. So, because sometimes a lot of them may end up in my spam, and I don't want to overlook anything because now is the hiring process for a lot of districts and schools. So, if you have entered my name as a recommendation, just give me a heads up so I can be on the lookout for those. Okay. All right. So, let us get started. And tonight, as I said in the announcement, we're going to look at one of the three assignments that I mentioned, which is, hold on, let me get a few others to come in. It's the educational philosophy. Now they are referred to, that's the wrong one. They are referred to in so many different ways. You can hear a teaching philosophy. What is your philosophy of teaching? Your teaching statement, or maybe even just your philosophy statement. So they may be referenced in several different ways. However, it's basically just what are your guiding values and thoughts around your um, teaching and teaching pedagogy. So as soon as I get this ready, you all, we are going to. Oh, why are you not cooperating? Hold on, y'all. Technical problems. Let me close a lot of these things down. Let's do it this way. There we go. We should see. Okay, do we see the PowerPoint on the screen? Can you all see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay, so let me go to the look at that. Okay, so again, the philosophy, your educational philosophy is basically what are your guiding values and um, thoughts towards the way you approach your teaching pedagogy and the art of teaching. So the purpose of this assignment, some of us are in the interview process now, and there are others that's getting ready. Most times your prospective employer will ask you, what is your philosophy of teaching? Or they may ask you to write a brief statement characterizing your philosophy of teaching. If you decide to possibly apply for a graduate program dealing with education or curriculum or instruction, most likely on that application, it will ask you for your philosophy statement. So this will hopefully get you started if you have not already done so. Some professors may have already asked you to craft one, and you may have already submitted one, but they come in so many various formats. So I'm just going to present one format that I have found useful. And hopefully, if you already have one, you can kind of adapt it to what these expectations are, and you won't have to start over from scratch. So hopefully, you can find a way to merge the two. But the purpose, again, of a educational philosophy statement is that first, again, your applicants, as an applicant, they will ask you more likely for that type of statement. And if anyone has already had an interview and had to present one, just put that in the chat so you can confirm what I've just said. Also, as a person on an interview team, and I listen, or if I have your resume or your application in front of me before I ever meet you in an interview process, the statement will give me a glimpse into what type of teacher I may perceive you to be, because you're going to paint a picture for your interview team or your future employer by what you have included in your educational philosophy. So it helps us to frame a picture of what to expect. And as an employer, I will know if your values or your approach to teaching aligns with what the culture is of the school or what my expectations are of teachers as an administrator. So it kind of gives the interview team a heads up into what to expect before they even have the opportunity to meet you face to face or have a conversation with you. Number three, to me, is the most important piece of an educational philosophy. And I'll be honest, when I was asked to do this years ago for the first time, and now even having to do that in my current program, the doctoral program, this statement has changed and morphed in so many different ways. But what it has caused me to do is really reflect on what are my practices, um, and be able to convey that first of all in writing, but also articulate that to whomever may ask, because this is what really guides your style of teaching. And so, as a reflective practitioner, I would ask myself, do I really believe this? Is this something that I really hold true to, or am I just putting this on paper just to fulfill a requirement or to just get it done? So you should really have um, an attachment to what you write. And it should also translate to what one may see if they were to visit your classroom. And I'm going to use this word again. Um, it all should be aligned. So what you have written, what you practice, and what you reflect shall all be aligned. So that is the purpose of the educational philosophy statement. So what I'm asking you all to do in this assignment in terms of what to include in your philosophy statement will be the following. I want you to reflect on why you want to teach. Now, hopefully, it is my prayer that you all still want to teach. The TPA is over, and please don't let that cloud your your judgments into saying, why do I, if I still want to be in this profession? Hopefully you do. However, I can understand where there may be some apprehension in some areas, but I earnestly want you all to continue to want to teach, and so you need to reflect on that. And look, quite honestly, if you have gotten to the point where you say, well, I thought I always wanted to be a teacher. However, this residency has taught me something different or given me another perspective. Go ahead and include that in your educational philosophy statement. Because remember, this is a fluid statement. It will change. And it's best to be as honest and as transparent as possible in your philosophy statement. And so I'll leave that to your discretion, but you want to be, again, just be very honest about why you want to teach, or even why you may reconsider teaching at this time, if that's the case. I want you to identify your core beliefs about learning, not necessarily about teaching, but about learning. So what are your core beliefs around your students and their learning ability and capabilities? Okay. Do you believe that all students can learn? Do you believe that you're responsible for creating an atmosphere where all students can learn? Or do you believe that maybe there's a majority of the students that can learn, and however, for this particular set of students or group of students, it may be challenging, but they can learn, but it may be in a different way or through a different approach. So you want to, in that second bullet, identify what are your core beliefs around student learning. Again, not your teaching, but student learning. So that second bullet is going to be an emphasis on students. The third bullet is asking you to describe your teaching style. So now you have the benefit of nearly 6 months of teaching experience in residency. And so what have you learned about yourself in terms of your teaching style? What is your approach? And so if you have, this is a piece of the statement where you may want to include pedagogy, or you may want to include research, or may want to talk about a particular instructional strategy or strategies. But in this particular paragraph, you want to describe your teaching style, okay? And then you want to, based on your teaching style, add to that and talk about and share how you will support students, okay? How you will support students. And again, you now have several months of evidence that you can use to support this statement, okay, in this writing, okay? And the last is define your vision as a teacher. If you notice in other formats, the vision always, most times, starts at the beginning. However, what I'm asking you to do is to add it at the end, because you should build up to, based on what you present in your first 4 paragraphs, it's going to paint a clear, or should paint a clear vision statement in your last paragraph. So you're kind of building up to that last piece where you're going to explicitly define your vision as a teacher. Okay, so I want you to end there and not begin there. And it's going to make a little bit more sense as we go forward. Okay. So in your philosophy statement, you're going to address these 5 bullets. Okay. That's going to be the outline. Now, when you are writing your statement, this is what I want you to consider. These are all the do's. First, you want to be personal and authentic. Personal and authentic. So I know that there is a tendency to maybe drop this into a AI platform, chat GPT, and say, crank me out a philosophy statement. However, it's not going to be personal and it's not going to be authentic. So that's what's going to be the driving force in your philosophy statement. You're going to use you can use personal anecdotes, you can use personal stories, and how what you may have experienced as a student yourself, or even as a resident teacher candidate, stories that have influenced and helped shape your educational philosophy. So that comes from personal testimonies, that comes from personal accounts. So that's the first thing. Make sure it's personal and authentic. Okay. You want to support that with, again, specific stories that you may have encountered within this last year, or even again as a student yourself. Some have included quotes. Sometimes there's a quote or two that really encapsulates what you feel as a teacher. If you have one or two, feel free to include that. I personally love quotes in a philosophy statement, because it helps frame the writing and helps me to frame an idea of what you are going to present in your statement. So we want you to include specific stories, and it doesn't have to be heavy laden. It can be one powerful story that you want to open with or even close with that really supports your educational philosophy. You want to, although it's your personal statement, you want to also make sure that it is student centered, okay? Because your role as a teacher is to reach your students. So make sure that it is student centered. And then by all means, like I started with by saying, when we read your educational statement, we should see you. You're going to paint a picture of you, and I can visualize you in the classroom doing the things that you are writing about. So let your passion for teaching or not shine. Okay, be very clear and transparent about that. Okay, and now the flip side of that, these are things I don't want you to do or consider. Do not, please avoid buzzwords. And that's one drawback from using an AI platform. It's heavy laden with buzzwords. A seasoned educator can read and see straight through that. So again, don't use those buzzwords. Now, there are some common educational language, academic language, and jargon that's acceptable, but do not, if you can, infuse a lot of buzzwords. Now, does everybody understand what I mean when I say buzzwords? Does anybody have a question about that?
Yes, can you give some examples of like words to stay away from? Or
Um, so let's see. Of course, you would ask me that. Okay, so let's say if I was writing a statement and I truly don't believe wholeheartedly that all students can learn, right? So
Mhm.
I just, to my core, do not believe that. However, as I'm writing the philosophy statement, I believe all children can learn, because all children, the children are our future. Okay, they are. Let's see. What's a buzzword now? And right now, despite all the trauma that students are going through, even though it may be true. I believe in a trauma-informed classroom. Now, that's okay to use, but you want to make sure you support that.
Mm-hmm.
Another buzzword would be differentiation is a buzzword.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, those big words that are common, but you don't supply evidence or context around it. I know that sounds more like a TPA answer, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Thank you.
those buzzwords that kind of get your attention, but they're so general that it can apply to any situation.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
And I'm going to, I didn't include it in this presentation, but I will upload a few examples so that you can kind of get an idea of those philosophy statements that include a lot of buzzwords and those that are more authentic and transparent. Okay, so you'll be able to discern those two. All right. The next thing is, remember, when you are submitting an application for a job or even graduate school, most times they will also ask you to submit your resume or your CV. In that case, your philosophy statement is not the place where you want to just rehash and outline what you have included in your resume, because your employer will have, or your interview team will have that as a source of evidence. So you want to stay away from just rehashing or restating what's on the resume. Okay, so you don't want this to be a resume part two. It's a separate entity and it has a specific purpose. And then you also want to stay away from those general statements. General statements and those buzzwords, they kind of align. So again, like all students can learn. I want to have a safe classroom environment without providing context of what that really means. Um, I want all students to feel safe. So what is exactly, how do you define safe? And then the next piece to that is, how are you going to include, or what strategies are you going to implement to create such a safe environment? Okay, so those general statements, you want to make sure that you minimize those as much as possible. And then lastly, this is taken straight from the Ed TPA. Make sure there's not a deficit mindset. Okay. Now, let me say this, because some of us may feel, for example, I'm going back to the same example, that all students can learn. Some of you all may feel that, quite frankly, all students cannot learn. Okay. And that is not necessarily a deficit mindset. A deficit mindset is when you provide or share your reasons why you feel like all students cannot learn. Do you feel like all students cannot learn because they're from a particular socioeconomic background, or they're from a particular part of the country or state or city? Because they are, the family structure is one way as opposed to another, and this makes them incapable of learning. That's what a deficit mindset is. Okay, now those can certainly be influences that may impact student learning, but if you feel like because of those reasons a student cannot learn, incapable of learning, then that may be considered a deficit mindset. So you want to make sure that you are crystal clear and explicit in why you feel or support all students can learn, or all students can't learn, or what have you, whatever it is that you're making your claim in your philosophy statement. Just want to make sure that you're able to support that. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions? Any question? Now, I cannot see the chat, so if you put something in the chat, I'm not ignoring you. Just come off mute and just ask your question if you have one. Okay. Next, this is what you will want to help guide your writing. So you have those 5 big areas that I may mention of in the beginning. So when you are reflecting on why you want to teach or not, you want to talk about or just try to frame your answer around these questions. What inspired me to teach? What do I love about working with students? And what kind of impact do I want to have? Okay. Reflect, those are some 3 reflection questions that can hopefully get you started in writing. The second area is going to be your core beliefs. So, based on your core beliefs, what does a successful classroom look like? What do I believe about how students learn best? And what values guide my teaching? Number 3 is a big piece. What values guides your teaching? Because your values are closely aligned with your core beliefs. So you identify your values. What do you cherish? What do you hold true? What is your North Star? And then that will help you to frame what your core beliefs are. The third area is your teaching style. Okay, so this is about you. How will you or have you engage students? Which tools or strategies will I use? For example, or do you have do you like technology? One-on-one, one-to-one classroom? Do you like to have group projects? Do you like to have group work, etc.? What strategies do you or tools do you use and that really supports your style of teaching? Okay. Um, Thirdly, how will I build an inclusive classroom? So how do I make my students, all students, feel included or part of the classroom? How do I include student agency for students? How do students have a voice? How do I ensure all students have a voice or have an opportunity to participate in the classroom? So this is what you want to use in terms of your teaching style. And then the fourth area is how will you support students? Okay, so how are you going to motivate students? How will you handle mistakes or challenges? How do I help students grow emotionally and socially? Okay, emotionally and socially. Not just academically, but you want to consider what are you going to, or have you thought about putting in place to help students and support students emotionally as well as socially. So that goes back to the learning environment. Okay. And lastly, your vision. What do I want students to remember about me? That goes to impact. So if we were to poll your students that you've had this last few months in residency, what do you want them to remember about having spent this time with you? If we were to ask them, what do you remember about Miss So and so? What do you think they would say, honestly? Number 2, how will I help prepare them for the future? Not only them, but you may want to also think about how am I going to prepare myself for the future? The educational landscape is always changing. But if you notice, if you stay in education long enough, as I have, you will see that things just go around and around on a merry-go-round. So, what was um, a trend in the early 2000s, they surely fade away, but now you see them reemerging. So, there's a saying, there's nothing new in education. That is so true. It's just repackaged and reframed. And if you stay in education long enough, you'll see that and learn that for yourself. And lastly, that third is what lasting message do I want to leave with my students, with the mentor teacher that you have had formed a relationship with, as well as those other staff members and the building community as a whole. What lasting message do you want to leave? Okay. Now, these are only suggestions to help frame your writing. You are free, again, to craft this educational philosophy statement as you wish, but I definitely want you to address these 5 big bullets. Okay. The way you do so is totally up to you because, again, we started off by saying we want it to be personal and transparent. You want it to be personal. And so you do that, but this is just to help those get started who have not done this before. Okay. Any questions about that? It seems like a lot, but once you start writing, especially since you are at the end of semester 2, you probably find that it's much easier than you expect. Any questions? Just real quick in the chat, if you have already done one and have one on file ready to go, just put that in the chat. And if you have not ever written one before, put that in there also. I just want to gauge and see where we are in terms of having experience with an educational philosophy statement. Just put that in the chat for me real quick. And while you're putting that in the chat, I'm just going to move on to the next slide about the expectations. So the educational philosophy statement that I want you to write for this class should be no more than 2 pages. No more than 2 pages. So this is a statement. And I'll be honest with you, depending on your writing style, most times you can get that done within 1 page. Okay. But for some of us, this is the first time writing one. So I'm going to set the page limit at no more than 2 pages because this is a fluid statement. So you'll have an opportunity to revise. And as you're revising, more than likely, you're going to see the page length start to decrease. But for this, I only want, no more than 2 pages. Okay. Within that philosophy statement, you're going to have an intro. You're going to address those 5 bullets. That's going to be the body of your statement. And then you're going to wrap it up with a conclusion statement or paragraph or however you decide. So I want an intro and then the body addressing those 5 components and then a conclusion. And all of that should not exceed 2 pages. Okay. Again, the content is going to be those 5 questions or 5 components that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. And then the last piece is going to be the presentation of your philosophy statement. Okay. So you're going to condense this 2-page document, up to 2-page document. You're going to condense it into an elevator pitch. And so, and I've said this and I've used this terminology before. So pretend that you are walking with a future administrator. He or she asks you, what's your philosophy of teaching? And you have to do so within 3 to 5 minutes. What are you going to say? So you're going to take your educational philosophy, pull out those big bullets, and condense it into a 3 to 5 minute elevator pitch. Okay. And what I want us to do is be prepared to do that next class, next Tuesday, which is the 15th. This entire assignment is due 1 week from today. Okay. So you're going to have your 2-page philosophy statement, and then you're going to condense that into a presentation and be ready to present that in class next week, next Tuesday. All right. Any questions? Let me check. I can't see the chat, but let me check and see. Hold on, let me stop sharing.
What did you say again? That was going to be due on the 15th? I'm sorry, I was writing down everything.
No problem. So let me just restate the expectations. So you're going to actually write the statement, which again should be no longer than 2 pages. Okay. Within those 2 pages, you're going to have an intro. You're going to address those 5 big bullets, those 5 questions, and then you're going to have a conclusion statement. All of that is going to be within the 2-page limit, right? And then you're going to take that statement and you're going to condense it down to an elevator pitch. but should be no more than 3 to 5 minutes. And I want you to envision that someone is walking with you down the hallway and they say, look, I'm thinking about hiring you as a teacher. What is your educational philosophy? And as you're walking through the building, you're pitching yourself. This is what I believe. This is my educational philosophy. And you're going to do that within 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. And it's going to be key in your presentation of your philosophy statement. I'm looking for certain attributes that I'm not going to share right now, but that's what I'm looking for in the presentation. Okay, so take that philosophy statement and condense it down to a 3 to 5 minute elevator pitch. Okay, Kayla, does that help?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me check the chat real quick. Okay, so I see. Okay, so Emma said she had to submit one for her. Hattie has one. You can definitely use some work. I can understand that because remember, it's a fluid document, so it's going to change. Probably what you feel about or view your perspective on teaching has changed from the very first semester to now. So yeah, I can understand that it definitely can change. Okay. Okay. Also, Emma, you've already created one that's over 4 pages. Wow. Okay. Well, let's see. I started one. Okay. Good. Kennedy, I've done something similar, but it didn't meet a lot of the requirements. Okay. Okay. Aubrey's written wrong. Good. Okay. Now I want everybody, not everyone has responded. Please put something in the chat. I just want to know where we are. My teaching philosophy is at 5 pages. Can I keep it like that, but make it shorter? Emma, I want to make sure I understand your question. So it's right now it's at 5 pages and you're asking.
Yes, it's 5 pages. I'm very when I write, I'm very detailed because I love writing. It was always my favorite. And so when I write, I kind of I put my thoughts onto paper and then I kind of condense it, but even with condensing it, it's still 5 pages and I'm not really sure how to make it shorter because this is what I submitted to my application. Like this is what I put in there. So I can make like the 3 to 5 minute pitch, like that's no problem, but I just didn't know if you wanted me to condense what I already had down to 2 pages.
Yes, yes, I do want 2 pages, no more than 2 pages. Okay.
So I
So
guess I'm just gonna have to write an entirely new one because there's no way that I can condense what I have into 2 pages.
okay. Well, I look forward to seeing your 2 page document.
Okay.
Okay, Callie says she's never written one before. Kayla said and talked about it in the past, but I've never written one. Okay. Wow. All right, so we have a wide range of these. I have written a very short one, about a paragraph. Okay. Okay, good. So we have a wide range of experience here. Okay, so any questions? Again, I just want to stress that it should not be any longer than 2 pages, and then we want the elevator pitch at the end for next week, 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, 3 to 5 minutes. All right. So that's the first assignment that we are going to complete for the remainder of the semester. The second assignment is, and you'll find this on your syllabus. I won't post it or open it until um, probably not next week, the week after, because I want to make sure that all courses are doing the same thing. But I just want to give you a heads up that there is a cyber bullying quiz. I believe it's like 5 questions that you'll be asked to submit, and I'll open that up towards the end. That probably will be the last assignment, but I'll let you know in the announcements when it's live, and you probably get a post or a notification letting you know that it's open. And then, so that's assignment 2. The last assignment will be the video that I asked. Actually, I started the first, did I do this on the first class in the fall? I showed videos of prior students doing what's called a pechakucha. Pechakucha. Okay, so that is a Japanese term, which is a way that you should quickly be able to present information around a certain topic. And it's formatted a certain way. And I'm going to not overwhelm you with that today, but just let you know that it is on the way. And that particular assignment asks you to present a video, the ones that I shared with you. And look, I think some of the feedback I got was that it was so depressing. So I'm looking forward to you all submitting very exciting and captivating videos for this next cohort of teacher candidates for 25-26. So if you were not moved by what you saw in the fall, then you have an opportunity to be moving in your presentation for the next cohort. And so it's going to just basically, you're going to give the next group of teacher candidates a heads up. Okay, they want to hear from you. So it's as if you're writing them a letter, but you're going to present it in the form of a video. And you're going to talk about the highlights, the good parts, the exciting parts of what you learned from residency. Now, it's about the entire residency experience, not just the Ed TPA. And I think that the tone of the videos that I received last semester was talking about where there's a heavy emphasis on the woes of the Ed TPA. And it's not just Ed TPA centered. I want you to really reflect on the entire year, fall semester, as well as the spring semester. And yes, the Ed TPA was a big piece of it, but there were other things that hopefully you'll be able to share and convey in your video as well. You want to just give them an overview of what to expect. I will provide more guidance to that, but I just want to make sure that you are aware that that's coming up. And you'll probably have a week or a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks to go ahead and get started on that. I will go ahead and post that. It's not, and I'll tell you when it's due. I'll do that after class. So what will actually be posted by tomorrow morning, because there are some that may want to go ahead and get it out the way, and that's fine. So those guidelines will be out there for you tomorrow morning, but don't feel compelled to go ahead and work on it and get it due. And turn it in before the due date. That's not what I'm expecting. But for those that want to jump ahead, it will be available to you all on tomorrow morning. Okay. Taryn, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question about this. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. It kind of slipped my brain.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll come back. Want me to come back?
Yes, please.
Sure. Kayla, you got a question?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're gonna be like them folks in fall.
No, you will not. The only thing you're going to present basically the same assignment, but I'm looking for more excitement. You're going to share with them about all the great things you learned and how they should be excited about residency, and not just the Ed TPA, but the relationships you form with your students, the relationship with
So
your
the
teachers.
pros, not the cons, the pros.
Well, I want it to be just like your educational philosophy statement. I want it to be
Okay.
authentic.
So genuine, be genuine.
Yes, be genuine.
But don't be as depressed as old girl was for
Yeah,
my
yeah,
handbook.
yeah. I think, yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
so think about it. There's going to be another Kayla next year. What do you want Kayla to know? What can you share with Kayla next year? Okay.
I don't think you want me to answer that right now.
Of
If
course.
if I was out, I think the first thing I would say would be like, well, if there's any, ESLs in there, hi. I'm glad there's more of us. If there's not, all right. But
Okay. I think it's going to change by the time you get ready to do the assignment. At least I hope it does. I know it's going to be wonderful. I'm expecting great things. You all can just you have free will to make it as entertaining as you like. Music, images, videos, however. I'm just looking forward to sharing looking at them first of all, and then sharing them next week. Next week. I mean, not next week, next year with the new candidates. All right, Taryn, you got your question ready? Go ahead.
Okay, I remember. So, is next year's class, are they gonna do the EdCPA since it's gonna be phased out by, why
Yeah,
do they do it if it's gonna be phased out by the time they start teaching?
because it's still a requirement for a licensure. So the state law has not changed yet.
Oh,
Yeah, so you have to phase it out. So it's not like that it's done. They're phasing it out, and then now they're going to implement a new set of criteria for licensure. But as of now, this may be the last class that
Yeah,
have.
they said that it will phase out July of 2026. So
Yeah,
it won't even phase out until they've already graduated.
yeah, yeah. This, but
okay.
um, the expectation with this will be the last cohort.
All right. And then I have two more questions, quick though.
Sure,
So
sure.
I really don't have anything good to say about EdCPA. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
I
but
so,
remember, it's not just about the Ed
but
TPA.
yeah, I can say things about my residency experience. Um, and then I have another question. It's for, maybe you can help me too. So I did my supervisor evaluation, but she had to move it to be recorded because of the rain. And I can't get my file, like it's literally 13 gigabytes. And I cannot does anybody know an app that I can use for free for
I
something large?
I just had to, hold on, because I just had to, well, I don't know if Miss White has seen it yet, but I had to screen record my video just to get it down to the right gigabytes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm okay.
That's
Thank
that's the only thing that worked for me because I couldn't even do anything else.
I uploaded it to OneDrive, and I sent it to her there, but she wants me to put it in Go React, but Go
Yes,
React is only
yeah,
4 gigabytes.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Are
Okay.
you using an MacBook?
No, I'm doing it on my iPad. I recorded on my iPad.
Okay, so that's what I do, and then I airdrop it to my MacBook, and then you can open it on like the iMovie. It's free, and then you
Uh-huh.
go up to the. I'll send if it's okay. I'll send what I do into the group me,
Yes. Thank
and
you.
it takes it like all the way down, so you can upload it into Go React.
Okay. Thank you
And
so
then
much.
you're so welcome. But I learned that if you want to keep the video, don't delete it off of your computer because it will
Mhm.
also delete off of your iPad.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
So I really recommend getting a hard drive and putting everything from residency and like a TPA if you want to keep it into like one drive on there. That way you can just have all of your material because my computer literally crashed 1 week before we got out of break last year or last semester. So I had to go get a new computer. Luckily everything was backed up, but now I put everything on a hard drive.
Okay. I'll do that too. Thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
that question, and thank you for sharing, Aubrey. Good to good. I learned something. Okay. Any other questions? Let me just check, make sure there's nothing in the chat. Oh, Emma, 5 minutes max. Um, I really would like for it to be, if at all, I would say 5 minutes max. I'm really looking for more 3 minutes, but we can go five. Just make, yeah, we can go five, but the goal is 3 minutes, and I want to just be able to share these um with others quickly. Okay, but I'll try to keep. Yes, okay. Thank you, Emma. Okay, so any questions, comments, concerns?
I
Oh,
have a question, but it's for after class.
okay, okay. So I will upload this. You will have the requirements for your educational philosophy, the PowerPoint, a few examples. I will have that posted tomorrow morning. I'll go ahead and post the instructions for the Pecha Kucha. That's I like saying that. And if you want to get started, you can go ahead and get started. And then just remember the third assignment is the quiz. That won't be posted to the very last week, probably. I just have to check with the other instructors to see when we're going to go live with that. Okay, and that's the way that we will wrap up the semester. Okay, next class we will be in person on campus, so go ahead and make arrangements to be there um, in person next week. We may combine classes we may do that, but I'll let you know for sure in the announcement that goes out on Monday mornings. All right, if there are no questions or concerns, you are free to go. Those that do have questions, you want to hang back, I will be here, and I will also post this recording online as well, especially for those that were not able to make it on tonight. So they'll have this as a reference, and you will as well. All right, guys, have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. A couple of you all I will see in the next few days. I'm sure I'll be talking with others as well. So have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
You're welcome. Let me stop.